Bill, we're really glad to be meeting with you today. Thank you for agreeing to this. I'd love to talk with you more about how you got into writing for the harp, and particularly for the people you originally wrote this double harp concerto for.
Well, coming from a harpist family, and people have often asked me, why don't you take up the harp? Why didn't you do that? And my dad would say, one harpist in a family is enough. And so I did a lot of work for him starting at the age of 12. I started writing little pieces of music, and my mother said, "This is great. We're getting your dad out of the key of C." And so I became his arranger conductor by the time I was 16. And he had great confidence in me, and we wound up doing 2 albums together. I did the arrangements, and he did the playing. And he was an amazing musical talent in that he couldn't read music, and he had to learn everything by ear. And perhaps his closest confidant was Mildred Dilling, who at that time was, as you well know, very famous. And I will add, because very few people know who this gentleman is that I'm about to speak. He's one of the most profound harpists I've ever known in my life. Avant-garde in a sense. His name is Gail Lawton. And if you ever are around, pick up an album. It's on YouTube or whatever it is. It's called Harps of the Ancient Temples. And he created a harp that defied the natural order of overtones. He created a steel string that you could put in the upper register so that it would have the same duration as a lower string. And listen to the album. It's really quite extraordinary. He was a great guy. And he did studio work too.
Did you write some pieces for him and this instrument?
I did some music with him for movies, a couple of movies. He was the principal harpist for a fellow by the name of Dmitri Tiomkin, who was a very, very famous motion pictures writer. He did a number of films, which I don't think I can remember. I believe High Noon was one of them with I can't even remember what that is, but he was a major composer for motion pictures in the 40s and 50s.
Wow. So it sounds like he was influential on your writing for the harp as a teenager, even.
Very much so. But my dad got the whip out and said, we're going to do an album. We're going to do 2 albums. Everything that when they retired from motion pictures, Dad would appear as a special guest star on a number of programs, and all of that music that you hear all the way through I Love Lucy and all that were my arrangements, and he did them quite beautifully. And in I Love Lucy, imagine if anybody remembers, I hope they did, because he played my arrangement when I was 17 of Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Fabulous. Nice. That's a good song.
That's a staple in our lives. We were big baseball fans, and And he always loved to play that song.
Very neat. So actually, I guess this ties into your journey as a composer too. You've talked about being a teenager and meeting influential harpists, among them your father, and getting to compose and write music and arrangements for him. What brought you to Juilliard for school?
The airplane.
Technically, you're not wrong. Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe how did you settle on Juilliard as where you went to school?
I didn't really. I've never done anything based upon my own desires. I was sent back east with a one-way ticket by my mom and dad to go and get some street smarts, go to Manhattan. So I went to Manhattan and I immediately got mononucleosis. So that was good, but that wasn't a good instrument for me. So I wound up at Gimbel's department store in the sales department, cowboy suits, guns, holsters, and rifles. It was for kids. And then at the end of that stint, it was an opportunity to go to Juilliard's next semester. And I didn't think I was capable of doing it, but I had written a couple of short little pieces for harp and so forth. And I went, and they didn't think much of it, I guess, because they said, thank you very much. And just before everybody left, Mr. Giannini, who was a wonderful composer and a member of the faculty, said, Bill, would you name the notes starting from the bottom going up to the top? And I did. And he says, you're in Juilliard. So that's how I got into Juilliard.
Based on your superb hearing skills.
No, my elbow. No, his elbow. That's right. Yes.
His elbow. So you could hear tone clusters. That's fabulous.
Well, I've always been addicted to harmony, and so has Dad. Of the three elements of music, I'm sure everybody knows, is rhythm, melody, and harmony. And I've always structured everything that I've written more based upon harmony than the other two elements. So Dad I would give, like, I give him a chord, a polychord like this. A D major and then an F major on top. And he loved that. And he would play it over and over. And he would do it about 7 or 8 times. And he just loved the feeling that went through his body, as you all well know, and all the vibrations from the sounding board. And he loved harmony. That's why he was more prone, I think, to the French Impressionist music than anything else. And he learned a lot of that. He learned introduction and allegro, made with deflection hair and some pieces of music like that. Because
those are technically and notationally so challenging. That's amazing that he had the ability without being able to read music to learn those.
Yeah. Well, when he had trouble with something, he would, as what we used to say, transcontinentally call Mildred Dilling 3 o'clock in the morning and say, her at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, I can't figure this out. Can you help me with the fingering of this kind of thing? And over the phone, they would straighten him out.
It's really too bad they didn't have Zoom. That would, the Zoom lesson, game changer.
Oh my. Poor Mildred. That is early.
Zoom, what he would have done?
It's a pretty good impression.
I absolutely believe that.
I do.
I do want to jump in here because you're mentioning like the polychords gave him so much joy and excitement. And Colleen and I, when we were learning the piece, there's a section in, I believe it's the second movement, where we have different glissandi all kind of stacked on top of each other. And we were kind of like, whoa, wait, your glissando is different than my glissando, because we're always so used to having the same notes. So out of curiosity, because we had fun like picking out the pitches and figuring out, okay, you have those notes and I have these notes. What's going on here, you know?
And the orchestra has these notes.
Yeah.
We were wondering how much underpinning theory was supporting that, you know, where you're trying to go work on a certain post-tonal practice, or if it was just the sound was really cool.
Mhm.
Thank you. And I would have to say that in exporting sound, the harp is probably the greatest instrument, even better than piano. There's a quality to the harp that you can't describe, and I feel that same way about classical guitar. The acoustic ability, especially in the gut strings, which is there's something so organically wonderful about the sound of a harp and or a lyre. I guess they used it came out of Egyptian temples or whatever. I'm not a real harp historian, but I can tell you that there's something about a glissando is something that no other instrument can do, you know.
Not with the kind of tuning that we use. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are really fun to play. They feel good to play. And it's whatever you think of that harpy sound, even when I think back to watching Harpo as a young girl and seeing all the different types of glisses and the type of strumming and all these types of exciting maneuvers, like it really, at least whenever I'm playing it, it harkens back to that. And then when you add all the different pitches all together, it's kind of, especially with my bestie here, my best harp friend, it's really exciting to almost evoke that in a way. And so on my end, I'm grateful that we have a chance to see these different types of perspectives when it comes to these layering of pitches and glisses, and it's a blast, really. It's fun to play.
Yeah,
I have to say the layering is more apparent in your orchestration now that we've heard the orchestration.
Oh yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Curiosity.
Toshi?
Hi, Toshi. Hello.
Great to see you all of you. Hi, Bill. Finally, we get to meet.
Yes, we do.
And Jaclyn too also.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all. So you're talking about the harp. It's one of my favorite instruments, of course. And I think for me to think about harp, because the soundboard is so close to the harpist's heart, you know, and it's almost like that the harp can translate the musician's soul into the instrument, you know. That's why it sounds so great, I think.
Well, and that added element of there's no intermediary between the fingers and the strings, so we have much more direct control over our tone colors and dynamics and expression. It's not like striking a key on a piano to activate a mechanism.
And it is indeed a heavenly sound. There's no other instrument could create, I think, so-called heavenly sound to me, you know. But we have two harpists. Bill, thank you for composing a piece for two harpists. What a treat that is.
I didn't know what to do with myself one day, so I sat down and I started, and then I couldn't stop until I finished the piece and drew the two lines saying I'm done. It's I think the challenge was that I don't believe anybody has ever written a concerto for two harps, and so whether it's true or not, I haven't heard one, and I thought, well, what the heck, be the first.
Wonderful, yeah. That's just
the next time anybody is around a harp that is listening to this conversation, find it, put it on your shoulder and just strum the strings. It doesn't matter what it is. You will feel the vibrations going through your entire body. And it's a very sensual, wonderful feeling. And it's as good as it gets. Violin is pretty good, but it's limited to 4 or 5 strings. You can get the same feeling, but not like a harp. When you play a glissando on a harp, and it's altogether, your whole body reverberates, and it's just an erotic experience.
And even more so with 2 harps.
I know,
I'd love to know how you
Spotify.
came to write a piece for 2 harps. You knew Carol McLaughlin, of course, the first harpist, from past work together, doing Harpo reviews and concerts together. How did you meet Rosalind Simpson, the second harpist, originally?
I met her through Carol McLaughlin when we decided to do this piece, and I don't know how it came about with the Orchestra of Santa Fe, but that's how I met Rosalind, and she was capable of taking it on. Carol would take anything on. I mean,
I get that impression.
Yeah.
she was a bulldog. Wonderful teacher also.
Yes, very caring teacher from what I've heard.
Very strict and very right down the line, and a great sense of humor also, I might add. She was an extraordinary talent, and I guess she found Rosalind.
All right, so they must have known each other and worked together.
Kind of like you and I.
Yeah.
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 Well-
Rope your harp bestie into a crazy concerto for 2 harps.
Yes. Why not, right?
It
Life's too short.
seems to me that harpists are friendly people. It's not unlike other instruments that you kind of try to compete each other, but there's many harp ensembles and all the things.
That's true. We do enjoy our harp ensembles, and
Those are the
Yeah.
best when we get to jam with our friends. I love harp ensemble.
Another thing I'm always mesmerized by watching, because I could watch everything on the stage, that audience cannot see, is your footworks.
yes. And
With
we
the
were
pedal.
talking this earlier this morning with the administrative staff, but I think we're going to try to get what we call in harp circles a pedal cam for the during one of the rehearsals, so that people can watch our feet dance, and maybe we'll get a good
Excellent.
clip for social media.
Excellent.
Bill,
excellent.
your piece makes our feet dance for
Yeah.
23 minutes straight.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty fabulous.
Quite the dance party.
You and drummers are the people that have to think quadrantly. You have to imagine 4 different things at the same time. That's not easy, but it goes to show you we probably somewhere down the line in our development of the human brain will be able to do 8 things at one time and 12 things at one time. But right now, to be able to have the independence of 4 different things going on at once, I think is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
It is definitely a workout.
Yeah, there's moments whenever, because we're using those, 4-way coordination like you're describing. And there's just moments where you kind of look at, like, you step outside of yourself and kind of like, I'm not quite sure how I'm doing this, but somehow I'm using all my limbs to play this piece. And it just comes naturally. It's like driving a car after a while, becomes muscle memory. So we trained a lot of muscle memory for your piece, that's for sure, because we are dancing.
Great thing is that we get to watch your feet, or the audience could see it because you're right in front this time.
Yeah, they'll see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully they won't hear, but just see.
We'll keep it quiet. I remember giggling because they used to call us, well, they might still do it. They call us the ducks of the orchestra.
Oh.
It's just so calm up top, but below is this frenzy of activity.
Yeah.
So I do feel like I do feel like a duck sometimes as we're playing.
No,
So now people
really?
can see, oh, there is activity below.
Lots of activity.
Oh my God. Okay.
Well,
Well,
the best thing I can say about the 3 of you is that you have retained and developed your great sense of humor. You have a positive vibe, and I think that's the best thing in the world. Dad said the only weapon you're born with is your sense of humor. And we all have it, but sometimes we don't know we have it. The people who we know aren't even aware of it or don't know how to find it. But you three people, it's wonderful to hear you laugh and get such joy out of chatting, and music itself is beautiful to emulate that joy.
Well, thank you. I think you bring that out of everybody you talk to, probably.
Yeah. The music is so it's challenging to play. But in a way, I think of Harpo, like I know he was doing extremely challenging music, but he makes it look so easy through the humor as well. And I think whenever we're playing, this is a very challenging piece in a very good way. It's kind of like, especially because I'm with my harp bestie here, we get a chance to be like, all right, you ready? Let's do this. This is going to be fun. Let's give it a go, you know? So it's kind of bonded us as well together. Just trying to make it look easy, even though we know it's not.
Absolutely. And we're very grateful that we finally get a conductor. This is very difficult to practice with an unrelenting recording without a conductor.
I'll be a supporting character, so I'll be supporting you all the way.
Yeah, we know you'll be there for us.
Yes.
While we still have Bill on the call, I did want to ask him for any other stories related to the premiere of this concerto.
I'm very fond of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and even more fond of the fact that William Kirschke, who is a wonderful conductor, he chose to world premiere it there. When you get a chance, the next time you see Dad on film or whatever, take a look at him. He's not Harpo when he's playing the harp. He's art. He transcends the character and he goes to the real person. He was a very serious guy, and when he played the harp, you'll notice it right away. And you're looking at Arthur Marx then.
Really good thing to hear.
Yeah.
Just the complexity of who your dad really was.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I'm very much looking forward to the performance on Saturday. And finally get to perform this after all this planning for a long time when Leanne Crawford mentioned about the piece to me. So I'm glad it's get realized. There was two wonderful harpists of the world, I say. And so I hope the audience many audience could attend, and this very unique opportunity to hear wonderful piece, two harps.
Wonderful thing to watch too, because the two beautiful ladies doing all kinds of stuff at different times, different things. It's kind of a visual experience as well.
Indeed.
100%.
Yeah, correct. I would say goodbye for now. Bill, we'll be talking to you and see you soon, ladies.
Yeah,
Very
we'll see you
soon.
tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Woo.
Since we're going to go to your rehearsal and
First
learn
rehearsals
from the
tomorrow.
orchestra.
Good. All right. Ciao.
See you soon, Toshi.
All right. Bye.